ask you a question. How many times have you said to yourself, I think I have too many books? Well, if you've ever attempted to downsize your library in the past, you know that it's not as straightforward as it seems. I mean, how can you even tell if your collection is too big in the first place? How big is it supposed to be? And if you do need to downsize, how do you decide which books to let go of and which to keep? Hi, I'm Tricia Childers with Practical Family and Home on Purpose, and in this installment of Intentionalize, I'm going to share a simple strategy that anybody can use to make your book decisions easier. The main thing to acknowledge is that not every book serves the same purpose. Yes, the most obvious purpose for owning a book is to read it, and some people do get stuck on that. And they'll ask questions like, if you don't intend to read it, why would you bother keeping it? Well, there are lots of reasons. I own a bunch of books purely for sentimental value. Some of them are books that I grew up with and I love, and I hope one day that my kids will read and love. Some of them were souvenirs from trips. Some of them were gifts. I don't necessarily intend to read them anytime soon, but they still matter to me. Books are also beautiful. When you see a nice lined up set of vintage books on a shelf and they're leather bound with the gold writing, they look pretty, they make me smile. And yes, decoration is absolutely a valid purpose for owning books. Here's another example. I still have a bunch of my old textbooks on mathematics and pedagogy and adolescent development. Not because I intend to read them right now, but in the future I hope to go back to being a full-time math teacher. And at that time, those books are going to be very useful, so it makes sense for me to keep them. We have to acknowledge the purpose of each book so that we can make good decisions about which ones are worth keeping. And that is why my strategy for intentionalizing your books is to separate your entire collection into piles according to the purpose. So you clear some space in a room, and if it's possible, gather all of your books from your entire house and separate them into piles. These are the ones I intend to read, those are decorative, those are sentimental, and so on. Now, as you are considering the purpose for each book one at a time, you can scan for clutter by asking whether or not it really serves that purpose well. Here's an example. So I bought this book because I thought I would enjoy reading it. The only reason to keep this thing is to finish reading it. There's no other purpose that it serves. But I started it a long time ago and I lost interest. So I have to ask the question, do I really intend to finish this book or not? And you know what? I'm not going to finish it, and I don't feel bad about that. It is okay to lose interest in a book and not finish it. What's not okay is keeping a book knowing that it doesn't really serve a valid purpose. So I put this in the donation bin, and I move on to the next book. If I come across a textbook that is so outdated that it's not going to be useful to me, that one is clutter, gone. If I come across a souvenir book that the family doesn't really care about much anymore, it's not serving that sentimental value purpose well, that book is clutter, so it's gone. And by the time you're done sifting through your entire collection, you will have gotten rid of the obvious clutter and you will have separated out your collection into smaller bite-sized categories, and that will give you much more clarity. Now you can look at one individual category and ask, does this category need to be downsized? I mean, let's say, for example, that you've got a pile of 40 books that you're supposed to read, but you only read at the most 5 books in a year. Well, that means it's going to take you 8 years to work your way through that pile of books. You will feel the weight of that excess much more clearly, and now you know something needs to change. Either you make time to read more so you can work through that pile faster, or you downsize the pile, or maybe a little bit of both. The decision is totally up to you. One more strategy you can use for downsizing is to set a physical limit. So if you have this vague sense that you have too many decorative books, but you don't know how many you're supposed to keep, set a limit. All of my decorative books are going to fit on these 2 shelves, this bookcase, and that room, and we're not allowed to expand outside of it. So you fill it up with your favorites, and everything left over, we say goodbye. And you get to decide what that limit is. I'm not here to tell you how many books you should keep and where you should keep them. I am just suggesting that by acknowledging the purpose of each book and asking whether or not it serves that purpose well, then the decisions about what to keep and what to get rid of are going to be much easier. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Intentionalize video, and if you'd like to check out everything else that Home on Purpose has to offer, go ahead and click the link in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye.